Welcome to Totally Talent Podcast by HR.com, your go-to source for all things talent. Whether you're looking for expert insights on high-volume hiring, the latest trends in recruitment technology, or strategies for building a winning team, we've got you covered. Join us for each episode as we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the talent landscape today. Let's get started.
Everybody, welcome to another edition of Totally Talent on HR.com. I am your host, Mike Wood, and I am joined by Lauren Tropeano. She's the Chief People Officer for Docebo. Hello, Lauren. How are you?
Hey, Mike. I'm great. Thanks so much for having me today.
So it's good to see another Bostonian on here. We were just catching up that, you're in the Boston area. I'm way outside the Boston area, but we're dealing with post-Blizzard world right now, and we're moving towards some sunshine in the next couple of days, so that looks good.
Thank
But
goodness.
tell me,
Thank goodness. I'm ready for spring.
so tell me a little bit about your background and what you do for Docebo.
Absolutely. So I am Docebo's Chief People Officer, and I'm responsible for all of the people and talent for our company. We are a global organization, so we have about 1,000 employees across mostly North America and EMEA. And ultimately, I'm responsible for hiring and keeping all of our employees really happy and developing and growing, and ultimately for delivering the success on our business mandates.
So since you're on like the front lines of hiring, I got to ask you, like, what's the top thing of mine that you're dealing with in terms of like hiring this year? Like, what's one of the things that you're trying to navigate in this AI world?
Well, I think with any great company, there's always, there's this quintessential war for talent, right? And what that looks like each year as our industry evolves is slightly different, right? So in this AI world that we're in right now, we're really thinking very carefully and critically about the skills that we need within our company. And in addition to skills, we're also looking at the traits or characteristics that we need of the people that come into our company as well. So we kind of think about that in those two very simple constructs. And so as this applies to hiring, what we're looking for are people that not only possess certain skills and forms of experiences, but also have the traits and qualities that they can apply those within the conditions that they'll be joining when they come to Docebo. So, for example, if we want to build software in a particular way, we will look for certain languages or certain technical skill sets. But also we are looking for people who are on the trait side, curious, they're flexible, they're adaptable and open to change, right? It's not just, do you have a skill, but can you actually apply that skill within the environment that you're in? So the pairing of the actual skill and the trait is something that is very top of mind for us as we think about getting that right fit into the company.
Now, and L&D isn't necessarily my background, but like I'm wondering how you're navigating between hiring for these skills and developing them at a later date.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's a great question. And I think a lot of companies are grappling with that. There's always this build versus buy,
Mhm.
kind of trade off that companies are thinking through when we do workforce planning. And even the concept of workforce planning in and of itself is dramatically changing. And I think that, a lot of modern companies that we at Docebo are talking to as customers, as well as just others in our industry, they're kind of rethinking what this concept of workforce planning is looking like. And what I mean by that is, the workforce planning typically looks at people and jobs. And with this whole new emerging, concept around skills-based workplaces or skills-based strategies, it's rather looking at that a little bit differently. So you're not necessarily thinking about it in the traditional construct of a job, but more about what are the tasks that need to be done and what are the skills that actually need to be leveraged to complete those tasks. And so as it connects to L&D, when we think about the build versus buy conundrum, there are certain skills that may need to be bought or developed out or brought in from outside the company rather,
Mhm.
because of things like time or speed or scarcity constraints or things like that, right? So like we're in this AI revolution right now, and there are certain instances where we would need to bring in experts from outside the company to help lead the charge on certain things. But I think we're and that's, by the way, been more of the traditional approach from companies. Is like, oh, a new thing's coming up, we have to go out to the market and procure those skills. But I think it's more important than ever that companies, especially those that are looking to develop more towards the skills-based organization, really thinks about how do they actually develop those skills internally so that they can be deployed for different tasks and kind of start to think differently about the traditional concepts of role design and things like that. And so just staying with the AI example, there's AI is so pervasive in so much of what we do for our jobs and our roles and our tasks, that it is incumbent upon all companies to not only buy those skills but also to develop those so that your entire workforce is going to be ready. So I think it just comes down to ultimately, what are the skills that you're looking to procure? What's the timeline that you have to curate and cultivate those? And do you need them right away? Do you build them or do you buy them?
And the timeline is interesting because a lot of companies I see now, a lot of like the big tech companies, they'll go through like a big wave of layoff, and then they'll immediately hire those skills in from the outside, which is a huge cost. But like, how
Mhm.
long does it take to develop some of these like AI skills?
I think it depends on, the depth of the competency that you're looking for, right? I mean, if you're looking to hire, machine learning engineers or, deep technical architects, it's going to take, a longer time, I think, to develop some
Mhm.
of those specific niche technical skill sets than to just develop baseline AI fluency, right? But I think that comes back to what is the appetite of your organization to really invest in learning? And is there a learning culture in your company? And that's why, again, going back to that concept of skills and traits, those characteristics of the people that you bring into your company, it can create a groundswell of learning and, um, a lot of curiosity and a development culture in and of itself. And then that creates a momentum whereby skills can be developed much more quickly than in other organizations that are a little bit more stagnant or are less open to developing and learning and growing together. So
I
that
love that because
the
like,
time can oh, sorry,
mhm.
Mike. The time
No,
can
it's all
the
right.
time can vary dramatically from what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, if I had a team of junior people, for example, that I wanted to get into AI, and I feel like this is something that
Mhm.
we're all kind of learning together, I would encourage them to learn as much as they can about some of these new technologies because it's going to save me money down the line if they know what they're doing. And plus, people are going to be learning this stuff on their own regardless. You're not going to tell someone like, okay, you're interested in this. Nah, we don't want you learning this because you might leave. No, they're gonna like give them a way to stay at your organization and learn this stuff. So,
Absolutely, and that's the thing is, it comes back to creating this environment of learning and exploration and experimentation, and to the point that you just made, I mean, it benefits not only the individual, but also the organization when you have, 1,000 or thousands of people with that mindset and really we call that shadow learning. So they're learning through informal means or through self-directed means versus through like a formal training or through like a classroom setting that's kind of more documented. But that shadow learning or that like really organic way of consuming information is actually how more learning is getting done these days, and companies need to find a way to actually capture that and understand what skills they have in their company because of all of that.
So since I'm not on like the L&D front, like companies come to you because they're looking to develop this new skill set and they want to get in front of it before they have to necessarily hire for it, right?
Yeah, that's one of the use cases for sure. I mean, we do different types of, technology enablement for learning. Whether that be, for food service workers that are preparing food and we want to make sure that they're, preparing the food to a certain standard. And there's, traditional learning and training in that way. And then there's also this whole emerging movement in our industry, as I just mentioned, to these organizations that are really being progressive and are trying to rethink how they, make sure that they're future ready or multiple futures ready.
Yep.
And, how do they go about, even approaching that? So the spectrum of what we can offer to our customers is quite vast. Yes.
That's great because, like, yeah, this is almost the same thing that I heard in software, 5 years ago. Everybody's got to be agile. You got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to do new things. It's clear that AI is here to stay, and so those are skills that you definitely want to learn. But I'm curious, like, just if like, so what are the most on demand type of skills that Docebo is training people for?
Oh my goodness, we support that would be a hard question to honestly answer because we
Off the
support
top of
so
your
many
head, yeah.
different yeah, we support so many different industries, right? So there's a lot of just very strong manager and leadership development, kind of coursework
Mhm.
that we do. We have some great customers that have deployed really excellent, again, programs around that to support that middle layer of managers. We support a lot of multi-location retail organizations as well. So when you think about consistency and how you deliver service across like I'm not going to name them, but like
Yeah. For example, if you
multinational
had a
brands.
store that's like the Old Navy or something like that, that you wanna make sure your Old Navy experience is the same no matter which store you go into. I get it.
Exactly, right, right. So it's like, how do you service your customer? How might, again, you prepare a certain product or food, or how might you actually go about helping to sell a particular product to a customer? It's those types of things, and it can be anything from something that's deployed on a mobile device for a worker that's not in front of a laptop or doesn't attend a learning in a traditional classroom setting, to then something that's more complex and multi module learning, that type of thing.
I love that you brought up, like, the frontline worker because that has been a huge trend, that I've seen over the past year is that all the messaging for a lot of these, hiring companies and hiring software is, we're getting more in front of those frontline people, the people who are without a, PC, and I don't know when this shift happened, but, like, I'm a knowledge worker. I'm not on the front line, but I hadn't had a PC in a long time until I bought one for myself. I had one that I used for my company, but like even like making there's so many things that I see that aren't mobile optimized even in this age that I'm just like, why aren't you mobile optimized? Everybody's on their phone all the time. Nobody's sitting in front of a PC. So I do find that so describe with me how some of your like mobile learnings work.
Yeah, well, the great thing about Docebo is that we have a very flexible platform where some of our customers bring their own content, or actually, most of our customers bring their own content onto the platform, and based on the profile of their learner. And we not only just serve internal use cases, meaning that employees providing learning for their own employees, or rather customers providing learning
Yep.
for their employees, but also customers providing education for for their own customers as well. So we have both internal and what we call external use cases, which is very interesting. But getting back to the content in your question, we are finding more and more that, and this will be no surprise, that the way that people are consuming content is quite different, right? Our attention spans are shorter. We're looking for micro learning more and more, right? So we're finding that our customers are bringing a much more shortened form content onto our platform to deploy. They want it to be, resonant, quick, something that has uh, demonstrated proof point that the learning has happened or taken place. And so we're seeing more and more of this. I don't know what the official word for it is, but it's almost like more fluid, kind of quick hit type learning
Hmm.
that is almost like a micro learning kind of approach. And that seems a little bit more resonant when you think about people, kind of scrolling through TikToks. They have like these 1 to 2 minute um, attention spans for absorbing information or for getting a key highlight or a point. We're seeing that people want to consume learning in that way more so than these longer formats. I mean, it depends again, because we do also a lot of like compliance training and things like that. Some of that, requires, it's like time,
Yeah.
like you need to do a certain number of hours and things like that. But I think when given the choice, people are migrating to a little bit more of these, um, short burst type of learning, modalities, and also different modalities. It's not just watching a video. It can be podcast format. It can be, an article. It's all different types of formats, which I think is really great. But it goes down to customization for the learner and what's really going to be the best way for them to absorb and learn and take away the concept.
Well, this is really cool to delve into the, are you hiring for the skills? Are you developing the skills? Where's that line that you want to choose in there? So if people want to follow you and Docebo to learn more, where do they go?
Absolutely. So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I talk a little bit about our journey internally and just, some of the different things that are coming up in our industry. Certainly check out Docebo's website. Our social media. We try to have fun out there. It's probably the best place to get back in touch with me and the company as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining me on Totally Talent.
Thank you so much, Mike. This was fun.
Thanks for tuning in to the Totally Talent podcast by HR.com. We hope you find today's episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to explore more episodes and discover valuable resources at hr.com/podcasts, where you can listen to all of our podcasts. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and making a difference in the world of talent.